ओम श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवत् व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। देवाय तस्मै नमः। Shiva, go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Yes, Guruji.
We'll chant from the first shloka, third chapter.
Yes, Guruji.
Arjuna uvacha
Arjuna Uvacha
jayasi chet karmanaste
Jayasi Chet Karmanaste
mata buddhir janardana
Mata Buddhir Janardana
tatkim karmani ghore mam
Tatkim Karmani Gore Mam
niyojayasi keshava
Niyojayasi Keshava
vyamishreneva vakyena
Vyamisreneva Vakyena
buddhim mohayasiva me
Buddhim Mohayasi Vame
tadekam vada nischitya
Tadekam Vada Nischitya
yena shreyohamapnuyam
Yena Shreyo Ham
apnuyam.
Apnuyam
Shri Bhagavan uvacha
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
lokesmin dvividha nishtha
लोकेऽस्मिन् द्विविधा निष्ठा
पुरा प्रोक्ता मया नघ
पुरा प्रोक्त मया नघ
ज्ञानयोगेन साङ्ख्यानाम्
ज्ञानयोगेन साङ्ख्यानाम्
कर्मयोगेन योगिनाम्
कर्मयोगेन योगिनाम्
न कर्मणामनारम्भात्
न कर्णामम् अनारम्भाम्
न कर्मणाम्
न कर्मणाम्
अनारम्भात्
अनारम्भात्
नैष्कर्म्यम्
नैष्कर्म्यम्
पुरुषोऽश्नुते
पुरुषो स्नुते
न च सन्न्यसनादेव
न स सन्न्यसनादेव
सिद्धिं समधिगच्छति
सिद्धिं समधिगच्छति
न हि कश्चित् क्षणमपि
न हि कश्चित् क्षणम् अपि
जातु तिष्ठति
जातु तिष्ठति
अकर्मकृत्
अकर्मकृत्
कार्यते ह्यवशः कर्म
कार्यत अवशकर्म
सर्वः प्रकृतिजैर्गुणैः
सर्व प्रकृतिजैर्गुणैः
कर्मेन्द्रियाणि संयम्य
कर्मेन्द्रियाणि संयम्य
य आस्ते मनसा स्मरन्
यायस्ते मनसा
स्मरन्
स्मरन्
इन्द्रियार्थान्
इन्द्रियार्थान्
विमूढात्मा
विमूढात्मा
मिथ्याचारः स उच्यते
मिथ्याचार्य उच्यते
यस्त्विन्द्रियाणि
यस्तेन्द्रियाणि
मनसा
मनसा
नियम्य
नियम्य
आरभतेऽर्जुन
आरभते अर्जुन
कर्मेन्द्रियैः
कर्मेन्द्रियैः
कर्मयोगम्
कर्मयोगम्
असक्तः स
असतस्य
विशिष्यते.
विशिष्यते.
Once again, यस्त्विन्द्रियाणि मनसा
यस्त्विन्द्रियाणि मनसा
नियम्यारभते अर्जुन
नियम्यते अर्जुन
कर्मेन्द्रियैः कर्मयोगम्
कर्मेन्द्रियैः कर्मयोगम्
असक्तः स विशिष्यते.
असतस्य विशिष्यते.
Yeah. So chapter 3, where Krishna is beginning to started by Arjuna with a question as to why, having taught me the importance of knowledge, having told me that self-ignorance is the root cause of whatever I think is a problem in life, or I think life itself is a problem, and the cause of that is self-knowledge. You've told me, I'm very clear about that now, and now I want that. And so why are you asking me to fight this? Ghore karmani, verse number 1. Tatkim karmani ghore mam niyojayasi. Why do you force me? Why do you engage me in this war? That is the question. So the rest of the chapter is going to explain or answer, address that doubt of Arjuna. And so lokesmin dvividha nishta. So Krishna mentioned in shloka number 3, there are two lifestyles, two committed lifestyles. There are sannyasis who are committed to pursuing this knowledge. And so for them, jnana yogena sankhyanam means sannyasinam. For sannyasis, jnana yoga. And then for those who are not sannyasis, everybody cannot become a sannyasi. Everybody cannot just drop what they do and then that's not possible. Therefore Krishna acknowledges that. So they are all called karma yogis. And for those karma yogis, yoginam, karma yoga, he uses the word yogi for them, and that is karma yoga. He talked about that. Then he said in verse number 4, Arjuna's desire to let go. I'm going to drop. I want to give up what so far I've been deluded and I've been doing so many things. Now I'm going to let's go and I'll study this full time study of Shastra, which is a good desire, no doubt. But he said, Krishna is saying, na karmanam anarambhat. Just because you stop doing things does not mean you're going to go anywhere. And also, just because you're going to don the clothes of a sannyasi, nacha sannyasana siddhim samadhigacchati. That doesn't mean you're going to get moksha. Don't get carried away by these things. So that was a important shloka there. And then number 5 is, and that's because nobody can ever remain without performing any action. This idea of actionlessness, don't get carried away. And the body is constantly going to be performing action. Even when you're sleeping, action is going on. Therefore, don't be carried away by that. So, naishkarmyam, the word was used in the previous shloka itself, 4, which he's highlighting here, 5. And then he, in shloka number 6, he talks about that person who physically gives up all actions and then decides to sit and meditate on Atma and decides to study this Shastram. He says it won't work because physically the person has given up, but then Ragadveshas are still there. All the things the person should have done in that person's life but did not do, all that is going to come and crowd the mind, and how all people are enjoying life. And here I am sitting studying Shastram, and morning to evening, this idea will come. How are you going to deal with this? So all these ideas will come. And so that person is a mithyachara. That person is deluded and papachara, according to Shakara. Person not only is abdicating all duties, but then the person, whatever the person does, is going to accrue papam to that person, like that Shankara had said. So up until that we saw. So now we are going to enter this shloka number 7 today. Yastvindriyani manasa niyamyarabhyate Arjuna karmendriyai karmayogam asaktasya vishishyate. Hey Arjuna, that's the address. Arjuna, there is a word, last word of the first line. Hey Arjuna, yaha tu. So the word tu is there here. Yaha tu indriyani. That is the first 3 words appearing as one word. Yaha tu indriyani. So tu means on the other hand. So right there we can guess that on the other hand means in contrasting to that person described in shloka number 6, who is a mithyachara, there is the other person who understands realities as they are. And then karma yogam arabhate. The word karma yogam is in the second line, middle of the second line. Karma yogam arabhate. Arabhate is in the first line. So in Sanskrit, that's how it is. All these words are all You have to search for all these words and then put together. So that's why they say studying of this language, Sanskrit, generally anybody who studies Sanskrit and enjoys it, and that person, they don't get all these age-related mental disorders. These Alzheimer's and other disorders we've heard of, because every time you read a shloka or read a sentence in a story or in a news article, you have to put together. The mind is working constantly, like a puzzle, like a Sudoku. Just you have to kind of put, oh, okay, like that. So there is always some work being done there. So anyway, whether that's true or not, I don't know, but I think there is some reason to believe that. Okay. So now, Karma Yogam Arabhate. The one who starts Karma Yoga, that is a literal translation of that. That is a person Krishna is talking about in this shloka number 7. Okay. So Karma Yoga was introduced in the 2nd chapter itself. So now we know what Krishna is saying. The one who develops this attitude of Karma Yoga by recognizing that Ishvara is all pervasive. Everything that is here is Ishvara. And so therefore the attitude of Prasada Buddhi, whatever comes is a Prasada, has to be a result of given by Ishvara to me. Ishvara gives me. I offer to Ishvara, Ishvara gives me. I offer to Bhagavan, Bhagavan gives me. This is how the person engages in this world throughout, from morning to evening. So that person is called a Karma Yogi here. And karma. So what is karma here? Actions. What kind of actions? Both religious actions and secular actions. You want to differentiate the two. So Vaidika karma and Laukika karma. That is how we say in Sanskrit. So 2 types of actions. Now, Raga Dveshas have to be brought in. Because what is the purpose of Karma Yoga? To gain Chitta Shuddhi. Chitta Shuddhi means a mind that is relatively unaffected by what's going on, relatively unaffected by my own likes and dislikes. I have likes and dislikes, and sometimes they pressurize me. They create a lot of pressure in me to accomplish something, to get this, to give up this, etc. That pressure is there. And so that pressure, releasing that pressure, that is the process. Karma Yoga releases us from the pressure of Raga Dveshas. Why? Because I look at my actions as duties to be done, as opposed to actions that is meant to accomplish things. That is how Karma Yoga works. And so when a person sees everything as Ishvara, then for that person, the distinction between Laukika karma and Vaidika karma slowly reduces. Vaidika karma means what? You can say Vedic actions, Vedic rituals, prayers, where you sit and you do a puja, that becomes a Vaidika karma. Where you sit and do a tarpana, that's a Vaidika karma. You sit and do a homa, that is a Vedic ritual. You sit and do Agnihotram, that's a ritual. Sandhyavandanam, that's a Vedika karma. But what about others? What about eating? Having food 3 meals a day. What kind of karma is that? What about going out to do shopping? What about that? So after 2 weeks, I went out to, my parents said, we don't have anything in the refrigerator. So I had to respond to that. And so I went out and, so what about that? That act, is that a Vedika karma or a Laukika karma? So these questions arise. Then we say here, a person who recognizes Ishvara, person who has that attitude of Karma Yoga, that so-called secular action also becomes a Vedika karma. Look at that, how beautiful it is. That is why in India, they used to say those days, work is worship. Work is worship. I remember that. Still remember that. My father's company, they used to have a tagline at the bottom, work is worship. Today, if you say that, you will get branded. But those days, they used to say that work is worship. How is that? 18th chapter, Krishna is going to say, Swakarmana tam abhyarchya. By your own duties, you worship Ishvara. Like that, he says. You don't have to specifically sit down and then do a puja in order to worship Ishvara. Ishvara worship is your own duties, performance of your own duties. Beautiful. So, having said that, that is Karma Yoga. Just understanding Karma Yoga from different perspectives. Now, so anything I do, so even if it is, even body is not well, children are not well, parents are not well, all these situations come up. Then what? Are you not supposed to work for it? No, you got to do what is to be done. And so, keeping the body healthy, it's important. And that is also part of the dharma only. And so do the dharma. And then the goal is what? Is the goal to perpetuate this life? Yeah, you're welcome to protect this body. You ought to protect this body because that's the duty also, Shastram says. But then the goal really is Antakarana Shuddhi. Simply elongating the life of this body is not going to really solve my fundamental problem. Fundamental problem has to be solved, means Antakarana Shuddhi is needed. And therefore, whatever actions I do, may I gain Chitta Shuddhi through this action. Okay, that becomes my prayer, that becomes my attitude in everything I do. Something I don't like to do, still I have to do. Then may this get me Chitta Shuddhi. That attitude will dramatically change my view about what I should do. So that becomes the attitude. When children learn at a young age, we teach them shlokas, Parayanam and all, we teach them Bhagavad Gita, simply chanting. They don't know the meaning. Sometimes parents tell me when they study Bhagavad Gita, oh, we should teach our children Bhagavad Gita, we should tell them what it means and all. A 3-year-old child, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old, you don't have to tell them the meaning and all that. They don't need it. You tell them Ramayana, you tell them Mahabharata. We've got beautiful stories, and you let them enjoy those stories. That is enough. You don't need to say Swakarma, this one. Lokesmin Divida Nishta. Krishna told Arjuna. Arjuna was confused in the battle, and then all this is not needed. That will confuse the child. What are you talking about? And so no, Bhagavad Gita and all will come later. But first, just there's so much to chant and chant and chant. All day long we can sit and chant. Children will love to do it, and so they never know. Oh, this will give punya to me. That will give papa to me. All these things they don't know. They just chant. They just love to chant, and they enjoy it. They enjoy doing puja also. When I taught puja to children, I was amazed how with so much gusto and so much enthusiasm they used to do and learn all the steps of the puja and all that. So it's just amazing. This idea that I must get something out of everything, they don't have that. They don't think like that. They are just very innocent, very normal. And so here for us also, in a way, our activities should become like that. And Antakarana Shuddhi becomes the goal. Antakarana Shuddhi. And so here Swamiji says, hey, whether I do an elaborate ritual or whether I do an action that is not a ritual, as long as both are meant for artha and kama, security and pleasure, security and pleasure, security and pleasure, there is really no difference between the two. It doesn't matter. Being religious is not of any great advantage to you. Correct? The person who is not religious also does the same thing. He is also eking out a living. He is also building a mansion, and then 3rd floor, 4th floor, 5th floor, 6th floor he wants. And the person is religious. Person also is asking for the same thing. What is the difference? No difference. Okay. So for the karma yogi also no difference for this other fellow. Karmatha. and who only uses Bhagavan for his or her own benefit and petitioning Bhagavan for this and that, that person also is going to be affected by his or her raga dveshas, likes and dislikes, exactly like the other person also. So raga dvesha problem is always going to be there, and so we have to challenge ourselves here. About our own life, how do we lead it? Why am I? What is the purpose of life? All these questions we ask ourselves, challenge ourselves, and I'm consuming more and more and more. What does it really do to me? What should it do to me, etc.? These kinds of questions must come in our mind. And so Swamiji here tells, you're having food, and then the body grows, body is becoming taller, it's becoming bigger. So 10 years old, 15 years old, 20 years old, and all these things happen. Now, you can see that I am consuming food, and so I'm growing, so food is helping me. Then after for 40, 50, what happens? That doesn't seem to happen. Despite having food, the body is actually reducing weight, or it is putting on weight, and you don't want the body to put on weight. And then you try to diet, and still the body puts on weight. Or you eat food and the weight reduces. Eventually, weight keeps on reducing. So at that point, what happens? Are you eating the food, or is the food eating you? Like this, Swamiji asked the question. We don't know. We don't know who is eating what. So these kinds of things we need to keep in mind. And so here for us, action becomes a prayer. That's the shift. Every action becomes a prayer, prarthana. Studying becomes a prayer. Teaching becomes a prayer. Chanting, getting up and chanting something becomes a prayer. Getting up and simply brushing one's teeth and cleaning one's body, that itself can be a prayerful act. That's why we have Gangecha Yamune Chaiva Godavari Saraswati. Hey, I invoke Ganga. I invoke all the sacred rivers in this water that I'm about to use. Becomes prayerful. We have all shlokas meant specifically for that. Look at that. So that's why for Hindus, it's not a difficult. Vedanta is not at all difficult. Not difficult. It may appear new. It may appear very drastically different from what we're used to thinking, but really it is not. Eventually we'll come back to it. And so having said that, so for the karma yogi, every action becomes a prarthana, prayer. Every action is an opportunity to invoke Ishvara. So tapas, there was a question in satsang. How do I do tapas in this day and age? And there is so much going on, and there is really no way you can isolate yourself. And how do you do tapas? Satsang, there was a question. Well, here is the tapas. To invoke Ishvara in every action you do. In everything you see, invoke Ishvara. In any behavior that throws you off, that repels you, very repulsive behavior, I say, well, then you immediately bring Ishvara into the picture and say, yeah, that is also part of the order. That is part of the order. That order is Ishvara. It is not Nirishvara. Just because I don't like something does not mean it is not Ishvara. Everything is Ishvara. Birth is Ishvara, death is Ishvara. Untimely death, Ishvara. Very sad, traumatic. Still, can I bring Ishvara into the picture? That is tapas. Look at that, tapas. How many opportunities we have. And so here, this idea, what that will do is this idea that being unattached to the results of action, being unattached to your action itself, like that many times you see all these translations. This unattachment can cause confusion. So here we say, as long your actions, are they impelled? Are they primarily driven by your likes and dislikes? Or are they driven by the attitude of karma yoga? That is the question to ask. If it is a karma yoga buddhi with which I am approaching my actions, my life, my every day, then I can say I'm relatively unattached. So we are giving a new definition to this attachment idea. This attachment idea is there. Every book talks about attachment. How do I understand attachment? How can I be unattached to anything? The minute I'm acting, I'm attached to action. And I'm always acting in order to get something. Nobody can say I'm doing things without any desire for a result. That's a wrong idea. It's impossible. Shankara says, Mandopina pravartate, prayojana manuddishya. Even a person who you think is imbecile, whom you think is just gone case, mad, and who doesn't know what he or she wants and is just hanging around, he's lost. Shankara says, even that person has something in mind when the person says, speaks, or does something. So, this idea that give up a desire for a result before doing action is that idea should be given up. That idea itself is given up. So we don't entertain that idea. So therefore, the idea of not being attached means, am I doing it because it's my duty? Am I doing it because I see Ishvara everywhere? Am I doing it because it is my offering? My duty becomes my offering. Next, in a couple of verses, we are going to see Krishna is going to talk about yajna. He's going to introduce a word called yajna to all those actions. Because now my attitude is different. The way I do things is different. Same actions I do, nothing different than before. But now the attitude is different. Actions are same, but the attitude behind the actions are different, dramatically different. And so that is what decides whether I am attached to actions, results, or I am not that attached to actions and results. Okay. So here there is a word Krishna uses, and asaktaha. Asaktaha. That's a very nice word. That attached, unattached. Often in many books you will see asaktaha, unattached. Okay, unattached. So you have to understand. You can put unattached in quotes, but then you must understand that attachment in the way that we described. You have to bring karma yoga in there. Only then this unattachment is possible. Otherwise, it will just be a source of confusion. How can you be unattached? Because unattached can become denial also. Denial. Denial of reality. Somebody is not well. You can't deny that the body is not well. You have to take proper action. Immediate action has to be taken. You have to visit the specialist. And being unattached can result in this kind of passivity. And I'm not affected. Hey, there is a what do you call it? Lump. The lump can be benign or it can be malign. You have to it can be whatever, the opposite of benign. And so you have to go check it out. No, it doesn't hurt. I'm studying Bhagavad Gita, so I don't have to worry about all this. Hey, you must worry about it. You don't have to worry. I'm not saying you worry about it. You must act on it. You do what is to be done, because we don't know what it's going to be, and then it's your duty to do what is right. And so this denial, unattached, should not turn into denial, should not turn into non-recognition of facts that are staring at your face. You should have to recognize it as they are and then act on it. And so this person is called asaktaha. Look at that. Krishna uses the word asaktaha savishishyate. So that person, asaktaha, if we can agree to put unattached in quotes for that word, asaktaha. So sometimes there is a question here. Swamiji, your actions must be driven by the desire for antakarana shuddhi. Somebody asks, is the desire for moksha, is that not selfish? Is desire for antakarana shuddhi, is that not selfish? No, suddenly this question comes up. Yeah, it's okay. That's a good question, no doubt. And because this idea that our actions are all duty driven and not pure raga dvesha. I desire it, I want it, therefore I will do it. Driven by duty versus raga dvesha. So therefore, desire for moksha. Do you want moksha? Yes, I want moksha. Then that's a selfish thing because you're saying you want moksha, correct? So this question comes up, and sometimes this question comes because the person really is not studying Bhagavad Gita. He's simply sitting because many friends are there, so he also wants to show that he's studying Bhagavad Gita. That's the only reason he's studying. And then suddenly this question comes. No, I want to corner my Guruji, and then let's see what Guruji says. That is one reason why somebody asks this kind of question. And of course, there is a genuine reason also to ask the question. So we say that desire for moksha, desire for antakarana shuddhi is not like any other desire because it is not impelled by raga dvesha. Because it's not impelled by raga dvesha. So go back to asaktaha, go back to karma yoga. Use that idea to help understand, interpret all these words. And so because antakarana shuddhi cannot be a raga based desire, a raga based pursuit. In fact, antakarana shuddhi can only be possible if I neutralize my raga dveshas. If I dot all I's and cross all the T's, only then antakarana shuddhi. Therefore, there's no question of selfishness here. I hope you can see that. And so selfishness is not possible if I've understood everything. So that word asaktaha there is to be understood that way. So yaha tu, okay, yaha tu, the first two words, yaha tu karma yogam, second line, karma yogam arabhate, first line, yaha tu karma yogam arabhate. On the other hand, the one who engages, one who adopts the attitude of karma yoga and being asaktaha in the process, being not driven by ragadveshas in the process, saha vishishyate. That person is far superior. Far superior. Far superior to whom? Well, far superior to the person we talked about, I mentioned in the sixth shloka. That's what Arjuna is saying. Mithyacharaha. Sixth shloka. The one who has missed the point and thinks that by just giving up all actions, I'm going to sit and then I'm going to meditate. And that person will only be meditating on everything the person has to do and forgot to do and missed the boat. All these ideas will come. That saha vishishyate. That asaktaha, that karma yogi is far superior to, that is the one who performs all duties as is to be done. That person is far superior, he says. And few more words used to describe. Manasa indriyani niyamya. Again, a reminder. Manasa, by the mind. Indriyani niyamya. By the mind, mastering one's sense pursuits, sense organs, literal meaning of indriyani, sense organs. So mastering one's sense organs means now I am more balanced. I use my sense organs for what they are meant for, but I am not going to allow them to be carried away or carry me away. So manasa indriyani niyamya. And so here Swamiji mentions manasa means buddhya, also we can say mind, intellect. So different contexts, mind in this context means by the buddhi, by the intellect. My understanding being now what it is, being now significantly better than it was before, I will use the mind appropriately, use the buddhi appropriately, and then do what is to be done. Versus that mithyachara. And mithyachara, the one who, doesn't do anything, right? But is actually quite busy. So I'm reminded of Swamiji brings up this example. I don't know where he picked up. And I didn't know this while I was studying at Purdue. And there they used to have this competition. And maybe it's a US wide competition. The competition is like this. You have to do a simple act, like sharpening the pencil with a pencil sharpener, okay? Or make coffee, or something, a very simple act that any of us can do. You have to do that in some 50 steps or 100 steps or something like that. That's the competition. You have to do a simple act in a very complicated way. This is the competition. And I was amazed, and I said, what is this competition? And then I went and looked at that. On that final day, all these finalists come, and they have made all these big contraptions to sharpen this pencil. And it starts. Ready, set, go. And then machines are whirring, and you hear pistons hitting, and you see somebody hitting something on the anvil, and then some gears are moving, and then some smoke is coming out from somewhere. And they have to make this device to do that. And these bunch of people have made this device which you can't recognize. And all these things are moving. A train is moving around in its tracks, and then some red light is turning on and off, and then something is falling on something else, and then water is pouring somewhere else. No connection between water and the pencil to be sharpened, okay? And so this is going on. And finally something happens, and something finally, and then this thing comes, and then the pencil is getting sharpened. And then somebody is selected, first prize. So sometimes we are like that. We do a lot of things, but we don't accomplish much at all, right? At the end of the day, you say, what did I do? What happened? And that's partly because our Indian system also is like that. They will send from one department, go to the other department. You go around, all to get one signature. Okay, that also, we got used to this system. That is also one of the reasons. Maybe we should blame the system for it. No, sometimes we are also like that. And so this mithyacharaha is like that. And you think he's simply sitting, but this fellow's gears are moving in his mind constantly. And don't be like that. Be asaktaha. That's the idea here. And so here, even though the comparison is being made, asaktaha versus mithyacharaha in the previous shloka, really there is no comparison between these two people. Swamiji says, it's not like far superior means one person is better than the other. No, not like that. There's really no comparison between these two people. The mithyachara is a hypocrite. That person is an abdicated duties, and the person is a papacharaha. So there is no comparison here. And so even doesn't achieve anything in the relative sense, that mithyacharaha. Whereas here, karma yoga buddhina, one with a karma yoga buddhi is being talked about. So let's go back here and translate the shloka. Yastvindriyani manasa niyamya arabhate Arjuna. Hey Arjuna. Whereas tu, the one who, yaha tu, the one, whereas the one who, comma, mastering the sense organs with the mind, manasa indriyani niyamya. So those Patanjali Yoga, those who are studying, yama niyama, same word, niyama. Niyamya means having mastered. So the one who, having mastered the sense organs with the mind, manasa, with the mind, comma, remaining unattached, in quotes, asaktaha, comma, Asaktaha is a word in the middle of the second line. Remaining unattached, comma, takes to karma yoga. So yoga of action, sometimes it's translated as. So actions performed with the karma yoga buddhi, with the yoga buddhi. So takes to karma yoga with the organs of action. Karmendriyaihi. Very interesting way in which Shastram talks about, does it not? Karmendriyani. We talked about Karmendriyani last time, right? What are the things? Jnanendriyani. Sense organs. 5 sense organs are called Jnanendriyani. And then 5 organs of actions we talked about. Vak, Pani, Padam, Payopasthani. So they are called Karmendriyani. Hands, legs, etc. Those are all organs of action. So Karmendriyahi. With the organs of action. Essentially saying, go do what you have to do, but with that attitude of karma yoga. So takes to karma yoga with the organs of action, comma, is far superior. Vishishyate, saha vishishyate. Whereas Arjuna, the one who, comma, mastering the organs, sense organs rather, mastering the sense organs with the mind, comma, remaining unattached, asaktaha, comma, takes to karma yoga or takes to the yoga of action with the organs of action, karmendriyahi, comma, is far superior. Vishishyate is far superior. So you can't be more blunt than this. Karmendriyahi, karma yogam, niyamya arabhate. So the person who's very much engaged in activity, there is no question of passivity here. Don't get carried away by that, by the idea of just sitting and doing nothing. So that will not work. Okay, now let's chant the shloka number 8. Anybody hasn't chanted in a while? Yeah, Vaidya. Okay. Niyatam kuru.
Niyatam kuru.
Karmatvam.
Karmatvam.
Karmajyayo.
Karmajyayo.
Hyakarmanaha.
Hyakarmanaha.
Sharirayatrapi.
Sharirayatrapi.
Chate.
Chate.
Na prasidhyet.
Na prasidhyet.
Akarmanaha.
Akarmanaha.
Niyatam kuru karmatvam.
Niyatam kuru karmatvam.
Karmajyayo hyakarmanaha.
Karmajyayo hyakarmanaha.
Sharirayatra pichate.
Sharirayatra pichate.
Na prasidhyeda karmanaha.
Na prasidhyeta karmanaha.
Yeah. Can remain unmuted there. Right there. Yeah, Shiva, I'm going to mute you. There is some noise coming from somewhere. I don't know where it's coming from. Maybe it's mine. So again here, doing what is to be done is far superior to doing nothing in action. That is Krishna's refrain. Very important. You can see how important it is, because this idea of sannyasi, that one walks away from karma, this idea is very much looming large. And so Krishna is making sure right in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, he is trying to um, remove all these ideas, these notions we may have. Correct? So, kuru karma, karma kuru, tvam karma kuru. That is the sentence here. You do action. Very simple sentence. Tvam karma kuru. Correct? Tvam karma kuru. And then what kind of karma? Niyatam karma. Niyatam karma kuru. So, niyatam, that which is ordained, that which is mandated by the Shastram, by the Vedas, that which is mandated, that which is told to us. Because the Vedas is the governing body. So, for all of us. And so starting from a young age, only the child is, in a way, has no duties. And even the child, by the time 6, 7, 8 years old, immediately Upanayana kicks in. And there is a big Vedic ritual. And the person, boy or girl, person wears a Upanayana and begins the Vedadhyana. Veda study happens. That becomes the duty of the child. And so like this, duty bound. The entire life is duty bound. And so we saw that last time. Duty doesn't mean there are no rights. So my duties will become the rights of my parents. And my parents' duties will become my rights. My duty will become the rights of my children. My children's rights will become, or children's duties will become my rights. But we don't emphasize rights at all. In this culture, rights are not emphasized. Duties are emphasized, as opposed to the West, where rights are emphasized. Rights. Whenever you emphasize rights, you need law enforcement to be really good. And that's why India continues to run despite poor law enforcement. Continues to run because people are essentially driven by dharma. Essentially. Sometimes I think about it. This particular state, Tamil Nadu, and these fellows are able to be corrupt because, and still things move. Trains run, buses run, and things still happen. Amazing. And that's because people are committed to their dharma. And they do what is to be done to a large extent. And so that's why. Anyway, that's not an excuse to be corrupt, but just a comment, that's all. So, niyatam kuru karmatvam. So, karma that is mandated by the Vedas is one type of niyatam karma. Then karma that is to be done at any given time, that is proper, that is appropriate at any given time. Vedas doesn't talk about all kinds of karmas. It is not, it says you are smart enough to figure out. Somebody is thirsty, ask for water. What do? You don't have, you refer to the Yajurveda. I am a Yajurvedi. So what should I do? No, it has nothing to do with Yajurveda or Veda. Okay. You do what is to be done. No, every person give water. That's all. And so whatever is to be done at any given time is also niyatam karma. And walking away from what is to be done. The example that I thought of is, you must have seen so this modern hens. If you look at this poultry farms, and their poultry farms produce eggs. Okay, they don't produce chicken. Chicken production is different. And so these hens are constantly they are giving eggs, and then eggs are pulled out. The morning he goes, he pulls out all the eggs. And so these hens, normally hen, and when it lays the eggs, for that you have to say normal hens, and the egg will be sitting on the egg for hours, for days also it will sit until the egg is hatched, because it has to incubate, and that warmth it provides. And this factory farm hen, it's amazing. You watch this factory farm hen, it will lay the egg and it just walks away. It walks away. It's like the mother walking away from the baby. Can you see this in creation? Is it possible? Mother walking away from the baby? You should see videos of it if you have, or go visit a factory farm. And the child walks away. Why it walks away? Because over years we have just been pulling the eggs away from the hen. And he doesn't know that there is something called hatching. I must hatch this egg idea is gone. That gene is gone. Completely gone from the head of this hen. This is very sad. And so how we can tamper with this creation is very obvious. And so like this modern hens walking away from the duty. So that also niyatam karma means not walking away from one's duty, that which is proper. And so that's a bit it's very shocking to see these kinds of things, is it not? And so walking away is what? Na prasidhyet. Look at the second line. Na prasidhyet. It's not, it doesn't bring you any fame. It is not correct. If you walk away from your duties, and what kind of duties? Hey, forget about all this family and this and that, all the duties towards your children, relatives and all that. Don't forget about that. Sharira yatrapi. Even to maintain your own body, assume that nobody is born isolated, unrelated. Nobody is born like that, impossible. The minute I am born, I am already related to two people. Two people means many people. Okay. But even if you say this body has to be maintained, even for that, you have to do a lot of karma. Sharira yatra picha, even for maintaining one's body. Akarmanaha. The last word in this shloka is akarmana. Okay. So that inaction does not befit you. Like that Krishna is saying here. So we will continue this shloka. Very nice shloka. Action that is to be done at any given time is far superior to inaction. That is being said here. Even the maintenance of this body, Sharira Yatra Api, would not be possible if you were sitting simply doing nothing. That is the main message here, translated. The shloka translated. So we'll see that in the next class. Om Swasti Prajabhyah Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha Go Brahmanebhyah Shubhamastu Nityam Lokas Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Kale Varshatu Parjanyah Prithvi Sasya Shalini Desho Yam Kshobarahitaha Brahmana Santu Nirbhayaha Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet, asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityor ma amritangamaya. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. So not bad. There are 41 here. So looks like most of them found their way to the right Zoom link. Huh?
Yes, Guruji, it should have been a little bit earlier because we didn't notice after 6 only it has come.
Yeah, correct. So we should have, that's what we were saying.
So Jacob, from now on, we'll use this Zoom